Downloaded a CRV file from CNCnutz on YouTube, and he does an outstanding job. I modified this for kind of a US standard, and also used the nesting feature and made it create these. So this will cut out 5 knobs. Basically, what I did is I changed these to 7/16 nuts and bolts with a 1/4 inch, so to 1/4 20, and basically they're real close to the same size of knobs as what he had on his. Anyway, I just made the nesting on it, and out here went out and put it out to carve, made your holes a 1/4 inch. I'm using a 1/8 inch end mill for all this, and then cut out the pocket hole for the nut, and then cut out the knobs. Put my tabs up here on the tops, of course, on the ends, so that it makes it a little easier for sanding. And then centered that, and it cuts it out in less than 10 minutes, and you got 5 perfect knobs. Do a little sanding. Did find out that it's a lot easier just to take a piece of all rod, a 1/4 inch, thread your nut on top of that, put it in the drill press, and just press it down in them holes. That way you don't have to pound them in there. And this makes a perfect fit. And while I was doing it, I was thinking, hey, I need to put one of these hex head nuts in a piece of work. So I modified a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and open a new file. And this basically will create this hex head application in just one of them. So let's say you have a project that's 24 by 24, and you're wanting to put some hex heads in there. It's really easy to do it. This is based off the center of the worksheet, and you basically just take your material, whatever it is that you're wanting, put it on your CNC machine, take your 1/8 inch end mill, go out to the point that you want that at, zero it in, zero all your axes in, press cut, and it will cut this exactly right there where you want it. And it was really slick. I was working on a drill press table last night, making a bunch of knobs, and I thought, I'm getting tired of the carriage bolts. They strip out. And so I thought, well, I can do this. And so, this is basically a 2-inch square. And you just basically center it right there where you want the hole. And it'll cut a perfect hole for you. And it works really slick. And the tool path is just, basically the hole and then the cutout, the pocket cutout. So it'll cut it in, I don't know, 15 seconds or so, and worked real well. So I thought I would share that with you and go with that. Also, on a little bit about using a USB device. What I've found out is, I do all my USB with it, or all my stuff, take it to the USB, the CNC machine with the USB, my Shark. And I basically will work off of the USB drive with my files, and then I copy them to a folder on my desktop called Shark, and then I just basically use it as an archive to copy all that stuff, but I keep the original files on the thumb drive that I work off because they're the latest and greatest, and then I just copy them back to the hard drive. Anyway, that's been working good. The knobs came out real well, and the drill press table, and there you go. Just thought I would share that with you. All right, I had a little bitty itty bitty drill press table on here, and there it is, the base from right here to right here, and it worked fine, except I thought so many times I was clamping stuff on there and I needed a little bit bigger table. And I looked around, and some of them use T-Tracks. I bought some T-Tracks, but I thought, you know what, I'm gonna just make this really simple, and went on YouTube and looked at John Heinzen's drill press table, and then a couple more, and I looked at a whole bunch of them that had the T-Tracks and stuff, and the removable inserts, and I probably use mine quite a bit like John does. And so I thought I would kind of pattern a little bit after what his table design is. And then while I was doing that, I was using wing nuts on here, and I thought, you know what, why don't I make some knobs? So I went ahead and turned out a bunch of knobs, and I went on and looked at for plans for the knobs on the CNC Knutz. Found him on YouTube and got a lot of great ideas, and I gleaned a lot from these guys on YouTube. But anyway, so I took his CRV file and modified it to SAE or US standards, you know, and so this fits a 7/16 inch bolt or nut. And so, you know, I was changing things around. I had my drill press dust collection here on the collar, and it was always in the way. So I changed this a little bit and you know, made some modifications. Found out that you can use a popsicle stick to shim these things out, and also use the popsicle stick to shim them out to get a flatter bite, more parallel, and that kind of thing. Made my stops, which are pretty nice. You know, you basically, you know, there's your knobs, slide them over, lock it in where you want it locked in, and tighten it up. And these are just a piece of, that's just a piece of scrap oak. All this is made out of just different, you know, pieces of scraps and the knobs, so they come out real well. I did use the CNC machine to cut this into this block, and then pound that nut in there because I was getting tired of my carriage bolt stripping out. I thought, dude, if I can make these knobs like right here and set that, I can do that. So what I ended up doing is, you know, taking V-carve and making a deal, making a little file, that 2-inch file, and then focus on the center. So wherever you want a piece of, if I want to put a hex head hole in here with a nut in right in the middle of a 25-inch piece of material, I'll just put a mark on it where I want it, take it over to the machine, and put an 1/8 inch end mill in there, and load this little hex head deal where it cuts just one, and pretty soon you have that sitting in there, and it's not going to strip out. So you know, that's how you guys that are buying the CA glues, that's all fine and good, but I got tired of the CA thing real quick, and with this little CRV file, I can real easily just cut one out, and it works real well. And the way this table works is it clamps on each side of the table, and you just loosen these up, and you know, there we go. So it just slides in and out wherever you want it, and it'll also do angles as well. And then you just crank down your table, and it goes real well. And you know, it locks down, it doesn't move. And the same thing with your dust collection hose. You just slide it down there wherever you need it, and lock it in. Of course, I'm holding one handle, but there you go. It locks it in. And your stop is the same way. Basically, you slide it down wherever you want it and put it in there. I'm trying to do this with my phone, and it's not working too good. I need to get my head cam on. But you just tighten it down. And of course, you always have that kind of stuff, you know, to where you put something right in your way. So you can just move this thing over here and put your stop in there like so. And, you know, of course, you can always use a clamp on there as well, or put your spacer block in there and put it down on there. So, you know, it works that way as well. All right, let's just say you want to put a hex head bolt in the middle of a piece of material. Let's just say, for example, we want to put it right there. And so there's our mark. We're going to make a little crosshair so that it can be easier to see it. There it is there. We bring our machine up. Put it on slow so that I can dial it in. And yeah, it takes forever to get there, but hey, it sure beats going back and forth about 57,000 times. And alright. So there we go, we dial it in. And go away just a hair. Look at it. Okay. And that's pretty close on it. Sometimes I'll twist a bit just to see what the cutters look like. But let's just say that's where we want that bolt. So we'll go down just a hair. And we don't have to do that, but okay, so that's where we want that hex head bolt. We'll zero our numbers here. So we changed them all to zeros. And I'm basically sitting right on there. I'm not even going to use the plate. And we're going to hit our USB. And we're going to drill this hole. All right. Got the router going. The CNC machine starting to cut the 1/4 inch hole. These are really tight. Once you put your all rod in there, they'll try and cut the oak threads in the oak. So, you know, you'll need to remedy that situation, just to avoid some frustrations. It's in there cutting out the head of the 7/16 inch bolt. It's actually a 1/4 inch bolt with a 7/16 head or the nut. And it does it in 3 passes, does it pretty quickly. You can just center that thing right where you want it and tell it to go, and bam, it does it. So it's a great little tool, and glad to share it with you. All right, so we're going to press that in there. All that is a piece of 1/4 inch all rod, chucked in the drill press. I'm going to use the drill press action to press that nut in. Got the nut lined up to where the hole fits, and you basically just push it down in there with the quill of the drill press, and press the prep fit, and that thing just won't come out of there. You don't have to worry about it. And of course, you know, to get it out of there, you just unchuck it and pull it out of there. But that makes a nice little way of putting it in there. You can also use a hammer and pound it in there with a bit and that kind of deal. So there you are. That's that. Also, whenever you're making your knobs, I found if I chuck this up in my portable hand drill and run it through the nut on the knob, it works out real well. So let me take you over here. And with this jig, you can cut up, you know, you can have a whole bunch of knobs. I mean, I use 5 or 6, and there's another 5 in there. But, you know, they're pressed and cut, and they make for a nice knob. And it's all made out of a piece of scrap. If you go buy them knobs at, you know, hardware, they're $3 a piece. So, you know, for the price of a nut, and of course a CNC machine, you can have all kinds of knobs. So I went kind of knob happy because they're just easy. I mean, you know, hey, they're sweet. I mean, they beat wing nuts, they beat everything. I mean, they're sweet. So there you are. And I've been having fun with that. And that's an easy way of checking that up and doing that. So once you get that pressed in there, you want to make sure that that fits in there. And the hole's so tight that it will be a little bit of a problem to get your bit to go through there. So an easy way of doing it is just to start it on this end with your bit and run it through. Because that's basically cutting threads in that oak on that side. So run it like that. And then you can turn it around and run it from the other side. Like this. Run it from that side. And then the knobs fit on there real easy. If you don't do that, you're cutting threads in that oak, and it's a pain.